Hey there, green card holders. If you're planning to travel outside the US or you're currently abroad, stop what you're doing and listen up. Because what I'm about to share could literally determine whether you're allowed back into the country or not. I know that sounds intense, but here's the deal. US immigration rules are changing, and if you're not aware of the latest entry requirements, you could face serious problems at the border. We're talking denied entry, lengthy questioning, or even risking your permanent resident status. And trust me, that's not a situation anyone wants to be in. So here's what's happening right now. Immigration officials are cracking down harder than ever on green card holders who don't meet specific travel requirements. First off, if you've been outside the US for more than 6 months, you need to be prepared to explain why and have documentation to back it up. We're talking job contracts, medical records, family emergency proof, whatever shows you maintain ties to America. Second, make absolutely sure your green card hasn't expired. I can't tell you how many people get caught off guard at customs because they didn't realize their card needed renewing. Check that expiration date right now. Third, and this is huge, you need to understand the abandonment rule. If immigration thinks you've abandoned your US residency, they can revoke your status on the spot. That means keeping proof of your US home, tax filings, bank accounts, and any evidence that America is still your primary residence. And here's something people forget. Even short trips can trigger extra scrutiny if you're traveling too frequently or to certain countries. Border officers have access to your entire travel history, so consistency matters. Look, I get it. Immigration law can feel overwhelming and confusing, but you've worked too hard for your green card to lose it over something preventable. That's exactly why I created this video, to keep you informed, protected, and confident every time you travel. If this information helped you today, do me a favor and smash that like button. It helps more green card holders find this crucial information. Let's make sure everyone stays safe and informed. All right, so let me break this down for you in a way that actually makes sense. Because I know when you hear about new immigration rules, your first reaction is probably stress, right? You're thinking, oh great, what now? What else do I have to worry about? But here's the thing. Knowledge is power, my friend. And once you understand exactly what's expected of you, traveling as a green card holder becomes so much less scary. So let's dive deep into what's really going on and what you absolutely need to know before you book the next flight or head back home to the States. First things first, let's talk about something that catches people off guard all the time, the 6-month rule. Now, you might have heard different versions of this floating around, and honestly, there's a lot of confusion about it. So here's the real deal. If you stay outside the United States for more than 6 months at a time, immigration officers are going to start asking questions. They're going to want to know why you were gone so long, and more importantly, they're going to assess whether you've abandoned your permanent resident status. And here's where it gets tricky. Just because you stayed under 6 months doesn't automatically mean you're in the clear either. If you're constantly leaving and coming back, spending more time outside the US than inside, that's going to raise red flags too. Immigration isn't just looking at one trip. They're looking at patterns. They're analyzing your entire travel history to determine if you're really living in America or just using your green card as a travel document. And trust me, that's not what it's designed for. So what should you do if you know you're going to be outside the US for an extended period? Well, this is where documentation becomes your best friend. I'm talking about keeping records of everything that ties you to the United States. Did you maintain your job? Keep those employment letters and pay stubs. Are you paying rent or a mortgage? Keep those statements. Are you filing your US taxes every single year? Make sure you have copies of those returns ready to show. Did you have a family emergency abroad that kept you away longer than expected? Get documentation for that too, medical records, death certificates, whatever proves the situation was legitimate and temporary. Immigration officers aren't trying to trick you or catch you in a lie. They just need to see that your absence was for a valid reason and that you fully intend to continue living in the United States as your primary home. Now let's talk about something that seems so basic but trips people up constantly. Your actual green card's expiration date. I know, you're thinking. Of course I know when my card expires. But you'd be surprised how many people show up at the airport or at the border crossing and suddenly realize their card expired 3 months ago. And here's the problem with that. An expired green card can cause major delays. Yes, your permanent resident status itself doesn't expire just because the card does. But try explaining that to a confused airline employee who won't let you board the plane. Or imagine standing at customs after a long international flight, exhausted and jet-lagged, trying to convince an officer that even though your card looks expired, you're still a legal permanent resident. It's stressful, it's time-consuming, and it's completely avoidable. So do yourself a massive favor right now. Pull out your green card and check that date. If you're within 6 months of expiration, start the renewal process immediately. It takes time, and you don't want to be caught in that window where your card is expired but your renewal hasn't arrived yet. And while we're on the topic of documentation, let's discuss something really important, the reentry permit. If you know ahead of time that you're going to need to stay outside the US for more than a year, you can actually apply for a reentry permit before you leave. This is like an insurance policy for your green card. It tells US immigration that you're not abandoning your status. You just have legitimate reasons for being away for an extended time. Maybe you're taking care of an elderly parent abroad. Maybe you have a work assignment overseas. Maybe you're finishing up education in another country. Whatever the reason, a reentry permit protects you. It's valid for up to 2 years, and it shows that you planned ahead and respected the immigration process. Without one, if you stay abroad for more than a year, you're technically risking your entire green card status. And recovering from that? It's not fun. It involves applications, interviews, explanations, and a whole lot of uncertainty. Now here's something that doesn't get talked about enough, but it's super important. Maintaining continuous residence versus maintaining physical presence. These sound like the same thing, but they're actually different in immigration law. Continuous residence means you haven't abandoned your status as a permanent resident. Physical presence refers to the actual amount of time you've physically been present in the United States. Both matter, but in different contexts. For everyday travel, continuous residence is what you need to worry about. But if you're thinking about applying for citizenship down the road, physical presence becomes crucial too. You need to have been physically present in the US for at least half of the required residency period before you can naturalize. So even if you're not thinking about citizenship right now, keep this in mind. Every day you spend outside the US is a day that doesn't count toward your physical presence requirement for naturalization. I also want you to be aware of something that's becoming increasingly common: secondary inspection. This is when you arrive at a US port of entry and instead of being waved through quickly, you're pulled aside for additional questioning. It doesn't necessarily mean you did anything wrong. Maybe your travel pattern triggered an automatic flag in the system. Maybe you're coming from a country that's currently under extra scrutiny. Maybe it's completely random. But during secondary inspection, officers can and will ask detailed questions about your time abroad, your employment, your living situation, your intentions. They can go through your phone, your luggage, your documents. And if your answers don't line up with the evidence, that's when problems start. So always be honest, always be prepared, and never assume that just because you have a green card, entry is guaranteed. And hey, if you're finding this information valuable and you're learning things you didn't know before, go ahead and hit that like button for me right now. It really does help this video reach more green card holders who need this information. We're all in this together, and the more informed our community is, the better protected we all are. One more thing I want to mention: don't rely on what your friend told you or what you read in some random forum 3 years ago. Immigration rules change, enforcement priorities shift, and what worked for someone else might not work for you. Your situation is unique. If you have any doubt about your specific circumstances, talk to an immigration attorney. Yes, it costs money, but you know what costs more? Losing your green card and having to start the entire immigration process over from scratch. If that's even possible, a consultation with a qualified attorney can give you peace of mind and a clear strategy for your particular situation. The truth is, being a green card holder comes with responsibilities. It's not just a card you carry in your wallet. It's a legal status that requires you to maintain certain conditions, and the US government takes those conditions seriously. But here's the good news. As long as you're informed, prepared, and genuinely maintaining your life in America, you're going to be absolutely fine. These rules aren't designed to punish people. They're designed to ensure that permanent residence actually means what it says, permanent residence in the United States.